Okay.
Hi Lauren, good to see you.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Been busy, but yeah, pretty good. Enjoying the weather. This weekend was quite nice.
Yeah, you've got a lot going on at the minute, haven't you? You're
Yeah.
so let's start from the beginning, and we can cover everything what you're doing now and your applications. It's all really exciting,
Yeah.
and I know you've been working super hard. So start off. Tell us about what you currently do.
So I'm currently working as a data quality analyst in the consulting company called Accenture. I've been promoted last year, so being quite upskilled as a developer more to use this data quality tool. Aside from that, I am still a part-time student, online course. So I'm a student as well as an analyst in the company. Yeah.
And tell us about what you're studying.
I am studying a course called LPC. I'm sure all the law students know that you have to complete the last legal practice course to be able to apply for um, law firms, or to be obviously to be a solicitor in the end. It is 1 year course, but it is part-time online, so it's going to be over 2 years. I just wanted to try out because the last time I decided not to do it was I wanted to get more professional experience in the industry, in consulting industry. So I think after 2 years in the firm, I think I can now go back to study and then manage my forgotten dream. I would say it's rather, yeah.
Because yeah, so just to be clear, you're a consultant who's now studying to become a lawyer.
I think I decided not to think that way because it's so difficult to get a training contract these days, and I didn't want to make myself a bit depressed by always trying to get a training contract to be a solicitor, but rather I am more focusing on actually studying what I enjoy. And I am making also few applications, but I'm not too concerned about actually getting into the firm or law firm in the future. But I'm also looking into avenue in working in legal, in-house legal department in the company as well. So
Mm.
I'm hoping that I can use these skills everywhere I go. Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of time. Like you said, you've been at Accenture now for 2 years and you've been promoted. Well, you've done super well. So how did you take us all the way back? First of all, I just want to know what were you like growing up? What were you like as a little girl? What were your aspirations and dreams? Tell us about that, the whole journey from then to now.
So I was back in Korea until I was 19 years old. I wanted to be a diplomat when I was young. Uh, I think it was just a vague idea of what it looks good for young children, actually. But I have, through my connection that I gained from International Toastmasters, is a public speech club. I did meet few diplomats actually. However, the expectation I had for being a diplomat was a little bit different. I thought it would be more free, it would be more glamorous, but it wasn't anything like that. It was very much a rigid, like hierarchy system in the government. You'd do absolutely everything what your government say, and you can't deviate from that. So I decided to study psychology instead because by back then I was having difficult time, and because I um I had a difficult time because I felt a bit lost, because I wanted to become a diplomat, then I wanted to work in the hotel and travel the world, and then I wanted to be a flight attendant, like many of Korean young ladies wish to be. But then I think I had a difficulty in figuring out what I wanted to become. So I decided to come out to Australia, and I spent 1 year working there with a work tour visa, and then I decided to study psychology in England because I wanted to figure out more about myself actually, and studying psychology would help that, which it didn't actually. Yeah, I completed undergraduate degree in here in England and did master's degree, then low conversion degree. Then I got a job in Accenture where I'm really happy at this moment.
I think you brought up something really nice, which I'd like to sort of take a pause on. When you're talking about you want to be a diplomat, and then you wanting to be a flight attendant, then you go to Australia, then you decide to study psychology. Tell us, how are you kind of making decisions? How are you, as your mind changes and you've got that sort of sense of feeling lost, what kind of benchmark are you using to sort of figure out what it is that you want to do? And when you make those big decisions to move countries or to start studying a new degree?
Yeah, I think benchmark was looking at a female leader in the industry actually. So I always look up to people, female leader in position, and I think I lacked that kind of figure in diplomacy in Korea, and I lacked the like leaders or somebody that I could follow and look up to. I lacked the mentors, hence why I had to travel myself and find my own direction. But I'm thinking, if had I have the direction from a mentor in diplomacy or someone else in any industry, if that person had led me towards my dream and guided me, I would say I would never have come out of Korea actually. By lacking that, I had to more push myself and come outside of my home country and experience, and then figure out by myself, I think. Yeah.
So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. So you've arrived in the UK and you're studying psychology, and then you went and did a law conversion course as a master's. So that was a bit of a change. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about getting to the UK, what your experience was like, and how you developed.
So I started with International Foundation year course in social science, and I did psychology as I wished to. But I find psychology very political science. Not that psychology itself is political, but there was always a fashion that what you need to do research on, and you need to find a professor who will lead together with you. If you hadn't had that connection with professor, where I couldn't build, because I would say my English wasn't as fluent as right now, and also I didn't have a extra time to do extracurricular work for my psychology department, not like other students. So spending the time outside of university wholly on my part-time job didn't help me establish a good relationship with the department, and I didn't find it very interesting due to that reason, because I couldn't put enough time. I couldn't get many out of it. So by the end of degree, I wanted to obviously work and stay in the UK, and that's the time I decided, okay, I am quite good at talking in public. I thought, just personal opinion, and I do see these barristers or solicitors talking in public, which might be difficult for other people. So I thought, okay, law conversion is quite short a degree, and it's 9 months. And I thought, okay, it's comparatively cheaper than other courses for me to try. Let me try it. And then City University back then accepted me, luckily. So I decided to continue my study. Then that led to another master's degree. Another law master's degree, because since I like the law, I thought, okay, let me try one more year whether I am serious enough actually to continue the law. And I really loved it. And by some chance, there was a workshop about technology and law almost at the end of the degree, and then I found out that the junior solicitor jobs are at risk because there will be more automation, more machine learning in the legal industry that can be easily replaced by robots. I think that's not entirely true. But me being young, I trusted that. I thought, okay, if that's the case, I'm going to get into technology consulting firm where I'm not going to lose a job and where I can continue my work. So yeah, hence why I chose actually Accenture that time. Yeah, many other consulting firms actually. PwC, EY, they're all big on technology actually. KPMG. Yeah, I have applied for all those full firms, and I liked Accenture the most and what they were offering me that time, so I chose Accenture.
Lovely, a really nice explanation. I think a really mature way of looking at your options as well, and just not just thinking about what I want to do now, but how is that going to affect my trajectory in say 10 years time and the things that I want to do in the future. So let's talk about your doing your second master's, you're applying for jobs. Walk us through that process of how did you get a job out of university, and if you would just take us through the whole process of, you know, when you started applying, what it was like, and what were sort of the ups and downs of that.
Okay. I actually had no idea how all this whole application works, right? I never understood why you had to apply a year in advance for your job. And since, as I told you before, I had to always work part-time, and I didn't have enough information myself what I should be doing. So I think by the end of City University degree, that law conversion degree, I heard about this career coaching company where they could guide me, and I thought I will give it a shot, hiring the company for me, because that was my last year where I could study, when I could study in the UK with my higher education degree. So if I didn't get a job, I had to go back to Korea, and I thought rather than regretting in Korea in the future, if that was meant to be, I wanted to give the last shot. So I did hire the career coaching company. Obviously, that's where I met you. And that turned out to be actually the greatest blessing, because without having a career coach, it's a little bit difficult to navigate what you should be doing at the right time, because it's all about timing, right? So you have to apply right about the time when you start the semester, right? So if you don't focus on that time, there's no more window for you to apply. Yeah, it's just the way it is, right? Which I didn't know, and I could navigate better because I had a career coach for me, looking after my applications and giving me advice. I also benefited from university career coach as well. She was really dedicated. She's still working as a career coach. So yeah, I had many people who was trying to help me. I think that's when people say, when there is a will, there's a way, because I wanted it so much, I was asking always questions, and because they knew how much I wanted, and I think that's why they always wanted to help me. Yeah, so it was difficult, I think, until I learned how to navigate and actually stay alive till I get a job. Yeah, I think that was the most, I would say, most dynamic experience that I had in my life, that your emotion fluctuates all the time, every hour of the day. It was hard. It's still hard actually to control your emotion till now, but that time was it was difficult for a big time. Yeah, but well, yeah. Now I'm here, and I wish that my experience could help some other students feel better a bit. That it doesn't always look because it looks perfect or it looks like someone is there. It doesn't mean that they have not been through this experience. Everyone, I think, whoever was in my shoes would have been through a difficult time of managing their emotion and managing their time and everything else. Yeah,
You made a very good point about saying, you know, how something looks. It's like being a swan. So on the top it's very graceful, but underneath you're paddling like an absolute lunatic to make it seem like it's really easy. And I know certainly in your case it was, even though you went on to find a job, I mean, I think it took you about 6 months.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was really scared. I was so scared. I was scared. I don't know why. Every single day was a little bit more scaring than the day before because I always thought it's like a time bomb. The day will come, then I have to return to Korea. And I wouldn't say Korea is the like worst country to work in, but it's just that for the fact that you studied in the UK for so long and you're gonna lose this everything that you had here in the UK, I think that is very daunting experience and daunting a fear that I created for myself. And when I actually shouldn't have been, but when you're there, you don't know that you shouldn't fear, but you do because you feel that you are at the corner, and then yeah, I think yeah, it was such an experience.
yeah, I like to think of it. It's that feeling of being one application away, one interview away, one assessment. You know, it's just like, yeah, but maybe, oh, but this one, and then and then I'm waiting, and it's that kind of. But you described it really well. It's that real roller coaster of emotion.
Yeah, I wish I had someone like I used to see many students with their parents being already a solicitor or partner in the firm or ministers or any. So I did meet my friends who had parents with a very high position, and I always wished if I had them, and they could have easily looked at my application, and I'm sure they could have helped me. But having all the role models that I and having just no role models whatsoever in my life, and it was very difficult because I didn't have someone to share my fear because I couldn't tell my mom, I couldn't tell my sister, and because of I don't know, in Asian country we say like it's a bit shameful to share that kind of experience. So I didn't have many friends either, I think, back then because I always worked. Like anytime outside of university, I worked. My work friends wouldn't understand because they don't go to university. Yeah, so it was so difficult to have it all by yourself, and you are always on the verge of collapsing because you're having all that stress and you're holding it on, and then just at one point it feels like you're going to collapse, and that is mental as well as physical. You are easily sick sometimes because of all that stress. And yeah, it was an experience that actually required me 100%. Everything that I had to pour it in to make sure that I get the job. Yeah. It's a scary experience, I would say.
Encapsulated that really well. That sort of just not knowing. It's the not knowing. Cool, but you did. You made it.
Yeah.
So now you're working in the consulting industry. You work at Accenture. Something that I would say is probably I get asked about quite a lot. How can I work in consulting? I want to work in consulting. So you talked about it a little bit before, but tell us about why did you choose this industry, and what do you really love about it? What do you love about what you do?
I would say I'm lucky because I just one day that I was in the workshop, I heard about technology. Then I decided to apply for Accenture, and I didn't know how technical this form would be. I think the reason I chose this company, Accenture, was that they were sending me for 2 weeks to Madrid. They were telling us to build a teamwork and also meet other people, as well as be trained as a business analyst, where everyone starts the company in that level. The company is so dynamic, and I would say this is the company where you can do what you love to do. And there are so many clients that you can choose as well. So there's always balance, obviously, because when there is a demand, you need to always work in that client or work in the technical part. But so far, I have always been able to do what I love to do, work with like client that I like to work with, and and all the skills that I learned literally for free. There is just vast amount of training that you can do, and certification as well. They help you be certified as well, and all that people usually pay by themselves, and the company supports everything, and they always encourage us to do that. And it's just amazing every day how lucky I am. And even during this COVID time, it was very challenging for every single company. It's still challenging, but they do their best to make us feel valued. And also through Black Lives Matter movement in the company, that was really heartfelt. The way they dealt with the situation, the way they included our analysts from African Caribbean or African heritage, the way they embraced us, the way they trying to change if there's any issues. The approach that company has is really phenomenal, and I'll say I'm so lucky. That's why I really am looking into working in the legal department in my company, if I could. I already did talk to a few people, so yeah, I'm waiting how my future will look, and how I can shape it. But so far, the experience was great in the company, yeah. And
Brilliant.
surprising, yeah. That's why I feel lucky, because I didn't know the companies like this. Only when I was there, I found out, and that's why I think I'm lucky, because it's not what I wanted, but it was given with the job. So yeah.
That's great to hear. So while you've been there, you talked about how lucky you were. What for you has been the biggest learning curves or challenges while at Accenture?
I would say not just in Accenture, actually. If I had worked in any company, learning how to work with other people professionally was something that I had to properly learn. So being a Asian woman and having not always same background with other people, sometimes feeling that I'm a little bit smaller than other people, just by feeling, I just internal, always there's a internal thoughts going on. I'm not good enough, or I should be more humble. That comes from Korean culture. You should always stay a bit low, and thinking too much about what other people say, and not taking things at face value, but you spending too much your emotional energy trying to make things better, or did it actually say that, or was I actually being discriminated because who I am? Was I not given a job which I really wanted because of who I am, the way I speak, the way I look, where I'm coming from? That all felt dragging me down at the beginning, because I wouldn't say to anyone, and it's all going on to my head, and it's wrong. I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I learned that is not the right direction to go, because I was tiring myself out, thinking more than I should be, because people would have said certain things without actually trying to harm me or actually trying to disagree with me, like directly. But I had to learn that by myself, because it was not about other people. It has always been about me, and I think inside my head. And it was that the right thing to say? Did I offend someone like that way? It was always going on, because the culture that I was brought up in Korea is, you need to be liked. You need to always be perfect. You need to, there are certain things that you need to always say yes to people. Certain things that I got habitual, like quite naturally, and I had to break that through and let my character shine through. That was a big learning curve for me, because at some point I was quite depressed, because I thought things happen because it's me, but it wasn't. Actually, it's the way it's structured in the company, the way the process works, and I thought it happens because it's me. How wrong is that? And I had to learn. Now I'm looking back, I wish there was somebody who could tell me that this is just the way it is. This is how it runs in the business. Without having without having a mentor, I think I struggled a lot. But it's not like I have a perfect mentor now. I don't have a mentor yet, like personal mentor who could they navigate me through to the place where I want to be in the future. But now I have more friends and I can ask questions easily, and I am more open-minded and I approach people easier than I used to do. So yeah, it's better. But I had to go through that slump to just get back up, to know that I this is what I actually needed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely. I think you described a number of things which I certainly have felt myself. So number one is imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is like am I really doing this? Like am I really, I mean I've had it when I've run companies or when I've helped people, and someone will be like, oh da 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 da, and I'll be like, oh my god, are you asking me? Like I don't know. And in my mind, and it's sort of churning. And the second thing you kind of went back on is I guess it's what we call skin in the game. So skin in the game is somebody who's like yourself, young, talented, ambitious, and bright, and will achieve a certain number of things, and just think, well, what's next? Like time to level up, please, like that, and then they don't level up, and then they're like, oh, what's wrong with me? Is there something? And sometimes, particularly in the beginning, what we have to learn is a sense of patience, maturity, and responsibility that just comes from thinking, just because I'm not moving up doesn't mean I'm not growing as a person, doesn't mean I'm not growing as a human being. And you talked about mentorship and that sense of guidance and breaking out of cultural stereotypes, which is, over 80% of the clients I work with are young Asian women. And I constantly, a lot of my time is really just spent saying like, yeah, but you're awesome. Like you don't need somebody to tell you that. And you kind of your actions, but it's breaking out of that stereotype of just saying, look, be humble, know your place, all that sort of really subtle, what I would characterize as very subtle sexism, sometimes overt patriarchy, of just saying like, yeah, I mean, you did well for a woman, but like, but this is a man's world, and you described all of that really well, and I want to thank you for your vulnerability about that, because I think it's an important thing to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I find it in this country, in the UK. Now I call it my country, but the culture is really different, and we forget that we have different culture from where we come from, and being humble isn't always appreciated in the industry, especially in the consulting industry. You cannot always stay humble. You should let people know what you know, and you should be quite assertive about your things. If you aren't assertive, people think, oh, she's just another girl from Asian culture that she doesn't speak anything out, and she's quiet. And then you do have to break that also stereotype, and also when you gradually get promoted, you will come to a point where you should show your leadership, and leadership cannot be shown without you being assertive about what you think what's right. And I think I'm now in that position that where I should start leading people, and yeah, I should get prepared for this as well, but without breaking your cultural habits, and actually recognizing it first that you are having that kind of habit, subconsciously or wherever. You need to recognize that happens, because if you don't recognize it, if you really think, oh, still you're fine when you're actually unfine, it is a self lie, because it's not fine all the time. And without you acknowledging that it's a time to change and evolve, you don't grow. You don't recognize it. Because you don't recognize it, you don't know why it's happening, what's happening, and you stop growing. And that's why it's so important to have a role model or a coach, because they know it. They know that people go through this stage all the time, and it's not surprising people go through, because you can see the pattern. I'm sure that you said said 80% of clients, you have to give them encouragement. And in the end, that's all we need. We don't need anything else. We have qualification. We can write, and we just need somebody to look at the writing and edit. But it's the confidence that will they even tag me? Will they even select me as a candidate? Will they even want to interview me? And all this need encouragement. And we lack that figure because, oh, what can I say? As you might know, Asian parents are very judging. If you don't succeed, if you don't do that, if you don't look like this way, if you don't have a boyfriend, they worry about you, and you just cannot be very open where you should actually get unconditional love. But we tend not to. I'm lucky that my mom loves me, but obviously because I'm sure it's because I also got a job in here. If I was back in Korea and doing whatever that I could have been doing, I wonder whether she would be happy with me. And I remember one of my best friends. She's a developer and data analyst. She does all this data analytics in the company. But I remember when her mom came over, she was so stressed out. She looked physically stressed out because her mom, you should stop eating because you look so fat. But she looked perfect. She was tall. She looked like a model. But mom used to say to her, she's just so fat. And then one day she told my friend that I want to just put a plastic bag on your face so that you don't eat it. You don't eat anything. And I was surprised how mom can be very judging where she should actually love a child no matter how she looks, even though she doesn't have a boyfriend or she doesn't get married or just pursue her career. Even though she has nothing, they should be there to support her, that they are perfect and they are ready for anything. But we are missing that figure from our parents, I think, culturally. Yeah, it's a sad situation because then we're missing where we could build our own fundamental character, and it's shaky. Our fundamental is a bit shaky. So unless other people tells you who you think you are, it's hard to establish by ourselves. And I think that does stay in every stage of our life. I mean, at least in my life, unless other people tells you how competent you are, you still question things. It could be an imposter syndrome, but I wonder whether I could have been stronger had I had parents who is more loving, who wouldn't say anything, but just to encourage me. Yeah, it's sad. I don't know how this would change because it's big cultural difference between new generation and older generation in Asian culture. This is something that maybe would change when we become parents ourselves. We wouldn't act the same way that our parents used to do. We wouldn't impose our conditions or what we want our children to be. We would embrace as themselves. But that's lacking at this point, I must say. Yeah.
I think, my mum's from Vietnam, and what I've come to realise is my mum is only capable of giving what she received. And, I think that what you raised about mentorship is very valid. I've always had mentors as I've grown up. I think my mentor now is in his late 70s. And he's just a wonderful man. But he's very, sometimes he can be really kind and sometimes he can be quite harsh. But I think he gives you basically, I really thrive on speaking to somebody who just has all those years of experience, who I can just have an odd conversation with, because, as we grow up, we learn to parent ourselves. We learn to become our own mums and dads. And anyway, I think we're going down a psychological rabbit hole there, but that is a fun conversation to have for another day. I'm all big fan of that. So let's kind of move on. I want to talk a little bit about English. Your English is great, and you've spoken a little bit about having some previous problems with fluency and how that affects your confidence. So, how important is English fluency where you work? And can you think of times when you've had trouble communicating, or what you've done to improve your ability to communicate in a business setting?
Since I started studying law, the fluency and accuracy of your English had become the most focal point of your success, because in university legal like law faculty, your friends group has divided. If you didn't have Oxford accent, or Oxford/Cambridge accent, or BBC accent, I obviously everyone could tell that I had come from. I am coming from South Korea, and I didn't have a perfect accent. But I was quite friendly enough to make friends. But if I wasn't friendly, they wouldn't have ever included me in conversation. As you know, in English culture, accent is a big thing. So if you don't have a same accent, or if somebody has a different accent, you know where they're coming from, and you know that they're not part of our group. And that's why I think I was always a bit not confident about my future. Maybe I think that definitely played a part, because I knew that completely. You must have accurate English, or fluent English, or you need to have also preferred accent. And without having, in my opinion, without having none of it back in the time, I was very shy in even speaking up, because I'm worried about million times, what am I speaking is right, and will I not be judged, or will I be judged? But I only figured out working in Accenture that it could be even a bit self-talk in your head. People just ignored what you say because maybe your accent, or maybe you speak differently, or maybe you made a mistake. But I think one thing I learned is that you must have your character come through your English fluency. So even though your fluency is quite bad, or at the best level, you need to have your character come through, because I would say that was the reason how I could survive university and all the law schools, and even in my company right now. I learned that people sometimes do think that you made a wrong grammatical error, but they forget. They sometimes don't even notice, because they themselves as natives do not speak in a correct way, surprisingly. And the reason that they might have ignored you might have been a mistake. So this comes back to that point. You need to take things at face value sometimes, because sometimes people don't care how you speak. People, as long as your point is clear and your character is coming through. So, for example, I'm quite friendly. So as long as that they can perceive you as a polite and friendly person who talks about the point, then I think my English, the fluent level of my English didn't matter. But now I am studying legal course back again, and I am again going into that hole that I must have perfect English. That is true, especially in legal industry. You must have details. You must spot the details, the mistake. That's your job. That's what you're being paid for. But if you're making mistake by yourself, then how do you direct other people to do that? So that's what I am still training myself to be more accurate, actually, to be more concise. I'm in constant training, right? No ever perfect. You gotta, if that's your job, you must always upskill yourself or renew yourself. Or I think you know it. The reason that you are helping other students do this is because you know that if you're not just improving, or if you're not trying new things, you don't grow it, right? So even though it's difficult for me to acknowledge that my English maybe at times is not perfect, but that wouldn't stop me trying to be perfect, right? That wouldn't stop me who I am, that I'm always going to practice, and I always will aim for perfection. That is my choice, right? And the way I speak, the way people will listen to me is not depending on me. That's out of my control. So these days I focus more on still trying to get better, because I don't think still I'm at the stage where I want to be. I do want to practice more, and I do want to polish a bit more. So for people who is going through the period that I went through about English, I would say you must practice. There's no way that you're gonna avoid this thing, that you will always have fear sometimes, and that will get weaker sometimes because you're gonna get better, but you can't avoid this problem that and also just ignore it. You must face it and acknowledge where you are, and you gotta take steps to amend it or make it better. I'm also almost talking to myself. This is what I have to talk to myself. Just keep doing what I'm doing. And I also every day sometimes fall into this comfort zone that, oh no, I'm okay. I can speak. It doesn't matter. But it's not about that. It's about who do you want to become, and do you want to be fluent in English, and do you want to be more accurate? Do you want to speak more? Uh, I'm sure you know that there is a English that is the way they speak is definitely better than the other way of speaking English, right? So I think you can always choose. Do you want to be better in speaking English? Do you want to speak it at a higher level or better level? And you, if that's what you want to do, you must keep educating yourself, and you shouldn't stop. And I would say you will never stop studying and getting better. And if that was your thoughts that at one day you can stop, I think there's an illusion. If you want to always become better, you must always carve your knife. You have to do that every single day. And I don't know any other way. At least for today, I think that's the truth, and I don't think that will change for a while. You have to try all the time and make yourself better. Always educate yourself, and never stop learning, something like that. So never stop learning English, and the way you could be more fluent than ever. Read your books and etc. All these advices that people give, and I think that still stands as the truth for me. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I think you covered a couple of really interesting points. So, first of all, it's that you didn't start at the level that you're at now. So there was many failures, and in fact, if you look at any kind of like athletic prowess, that person's successes will be built on thousands of failures, thousands of lessons, thousands of kind of going, oh, this wasn't quite right, let me try something else. The other thing you spoke about was your standards. So having something that you wanted to aspire to, and the level that you wanted to get to, and thinking, actually, I know where I want to go, I know what I need to do. So all that stands in between me and that is how much am I going to do the work? Am I going to put in the hours? And the last thing that I took away from the image that comes to my mind is that however tall the mountain, we're all going to climb it in the same way, one step at a time. And there are always going to be days when we don't quite feel like doing that. And that's okay. It's just making sure that it doesn't become a habit. And that, of course, is informed by your standards. It's informed by, what do you want to deliver? What's the kind of value that you want to deliver to the world? And generally, if you're seeing a really lovely finished product on top, there is an absolute ton of hard work. Because it's really hard work. And I spoke about this with the young lady Anastasia in last week's video, and she talked about developing her business idea for 2 years. And she said everyone turned around to her and said, oh wow, that's so easy, that's so simple, like so smooth. And she's like, yeah, because it took me 2 years. Like I just went over and over, and she said the best products are simple. And I think exactly like you're saying, if someone's looking at your English and thinking, wow, Lauren's so good, how can she talk about being better? But that was, you sharpen your knife every day, you do a little bit, but you do a little bit so that over time you can become much better.
Yeah, I used to avoid the fear. I used to avoid like facing what I'm scared at, because you don't want to feel scared every single day. Why would you? You feel insecure, and I think every day I'm trying to face the fear, what I'm scared of. I think the thing that I'm most scared of is making mistakes while speaking English, even in writing. And they kind of did stop me many times making a good applications, and still it does. Every second, every word you write for me is a struggle, because I am worried about me making a very slight mistake that a native speaker could spot it very easily. Even though you use Grammarly or this pro writing aid, you still do make a mistake that if native, like a person had read, oh, this doesn't sound natural, right? And then I could be spotted, and then I could be like taken away from the competition. And that fear suppress my courage a lot, especially in applying or making applications. And the strategy that I took these days is I just write like I'm talking to my friend, or talking to a person if I had a friend in the company or something like that. So I just start writing down. And I have a career advisor from my university, and she said it sounds really casual. Obviously, because since I had so much pressure or stress on myself about making a mistake, I had to do something about it. So I did tell her that the reason I might have written this way is because I couldn't even write at all. Like for 4 months, I had time to prepare for training contracts. I couldn't write a thing. I was walking away from the fear that I had, and I was just being in the bubble of, oh, everything is fine and I am perfect and this and that. And by me avoiding it had costed me not being ready at the time you should be ready. So I have learned this lesson. Like, I am still learning this lesson during this month, because this is the busiest month to make application, and I am actually working on only one application. But I repeatedly talk to myself, it's better than not making any application at all. I have, or still I'm still I'm finding the way to keep myself going, and at least take one step forward. But still, one day you will take 10 steps backwards, right? And you talk to yourself, what have you done? You haven't done absolutely anything. And then the next day okay, I gotta do something. And that's where lots of people talk about habits. Had you done that every single day, you'd still do it, even if you feel depressed, right? And I am trying to build that habit of every day doing something to be the person who I want to become. And I would say I'm not perfect at it, but I am trying. And I try to give myself sometimes a break, away from being too hard on yourself. But I still get back into that trap. I am very hard on myself, and then I feel sorry for myself. Then I'm getting back on my feet. It's every day is quite cyclic, and especially this month, so many things happening at the company, as well as applying company, as well as studying. Oh, it's been difficult month, and it will be difficult until the end of August. So every day is a struggle, but the only thing that anyone shouldn't do is avoiding their fear. If they avoid the fear, they will come to the point where they're gonna regret, like me. But I'm trying to get better at it without avoiding. So I would say people really should look back to themselves and trying to do one small thing every day, so that it becomes more habitual, rather than you every day decide to do or not to do. Rather than that, you just naturally wake up, like wash yourself and wear your clothes, and you will eat something. It should be something that much habitual that it doesn't stress you out too much. Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. So this is what I'm talking to myself every day. So yeah, shouldn't avoid, and just face it. And if you're really scared, do only small thing every day to make yourself feel better. Yeah, that's what I would say.
If you like this video, click like, drop us a comment and make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified whenever we release videos.